Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another random video. Now I figure I'd do this kind of a video. This will be just a separate Blu-ray review, not of the movie. I've already reviewed this film, but this is more about a review of the Blu-ray itself, you know, the picture quality and the features and things like that. So, as you can tell by the title already, I'm going to be reviewing the Blu-ray of Manhunter. Now, Manhunter, like I said before, I've reviewed the film already. If you want to go check out my review of that, you can go back a little bit in my videos, and you can check out my review when I did my Hannibal Lecter series of reviews. So this is not about the movie, per se. This is more about this Blu-ray from Scream Factory, which, by the way, I think that they did a really good job on this Blu-ray. So I figured, you know, let me do a Blu-ray review of it. And if I ever see like a Blu-ray that has like really good features on it or things like that, or if I want to just review just the Blu-ray itself in general, the features and things like that, I'll do a video like this every once in a while. But this Blu-ray review will be on Manhunter. Now, as you can tell, really great cover art. I really like the new artwork they have here for Manhunter. You have Will Graham, Francis Dollarhide, and you have Hannibal Lecter right there. And there's the back of it here with a lot of good stuff on it, a lot of really good features. And basically, of course, with every Scream Factory, most of the time with Scream Factory, you get a slip cover. And it's actually a reversible cover, so when you open it, you can kind of see behind the Blu-ray and DVD. You can kind of see, like, here is the original cover art for the movie. That was the original theatrical poster, which is a really cool looking poster. But I really do like the new cover art on this. And of course, here is, you have the, here's the, I believe this is, well, yeah, these are two Blu-rays right here. You have the theatrical cut with Will Graham on the cover, and then you have the second disc, which is the director's cut. You have Hannibal Lecter. So really cool cover art. Scream Factory does a really good job when it comes to like details with their disc arts and their Blu-ray covers and things like that. They always do a really good job on the design of them. And this is one of my personal favorite ones. This is actually one of my personal favorite releases from Scream Factory. Now getting on to the actual features, there was a lot of good stuff on this Blu-ray, and if you're a big fan of Manhunter, and if you are thinking about picking up the Blu-ray from Scream Factory, if you haven't yet, I mean, I know this came out back in, I believe, May of 2016. I think this came out around. I know it came out around 2000. I know it came out in 2016, but I think it was released in May of that year, but I could be wrong on that. But I'm sure probably everybody has had this by now, but has this Blu-ray. But if you're a person out there, and if you don't own this Blu-ray, and if you're a big fan of the movie, and if you're a big Scream Factory guy, definitely go pick this up. It's really worth it. It has a lot of good stuff on it, a lot of really great content on here that you can look through for features. So let's dive right into the features. So first off, we have a brand new disc 1, which is the theatrical cut, has all the new features on it. First, we have a brand new interview with William Peterson, which is basically about 18 minutes long, something like that, with William Peterson. William Peterson basically talks about Michael Mann and how Michael Mann. It's actually a funny story about William Peterson in the interview. He talks about how Michael Mann, in the 80s, before Manhunter was even made, he approached him in the early 80s about starring in a film called Heat, which is very ironic because Michael Mann would do Heat in 1995, and actually William Peterson was actually approached to be in Heat, which I thought was kind of interesting. So that's a pretty nice little story there for William Peterson. It would have been actually pretty cool to see him in that movie, but and he also talks about, you know, how Michael Mann, you know, how well he worked with the camera and basically how he treats the camera like it's a different actor. Like he just puts a lot of detail into his movies. And he also talks about about Tom Noonan, who plays Dollarhide, how William Petersen talks about how Tom Noonan didn't want to be friendly with him. He didn't want to like him. Tom Noonan was basically William Petersen's arch nemesis. Tom Noonan didn't want him around. He didn't want him to like him. He didn't want anything to do with him on the set. The only person that Tom Noonan wanted to be associated with was Joan Allen, who played the blind lady. But everybody else was to not talk with him, or mainly William Petersen. He was not allowed to like they were supposed to refer to him as Dollarhide on set. I mean, Tom Noonan was very dedicated to this character. And so William Petersen talks about how Tom Noonan didn't want to be friendly with him at all, and didn't want to like him, and didn't want him around, so it can have that little bit more of an intensity, which I thought was pretty cool story there. And what's funny is William Petersen also talks about how after they wrapped the movie up, him and Tom Noonan went out and had pancakes together for breakfast, which I thought was pretty interesting. So that's pretty cool how Tom Noonan and William Petersen got to know each other at the very end of the making of, and all that stuff. And I think they became friendly with each other, and they got to know each other. So I thought that was really cool. So really nice interview with William Petersen. Next up, we have a brand new interview with Joan Allen, which is about 16 minutes long, and she basically talks about working with Michael Mann and how Tom Noonan was really dedicated to his character. And also, she talks about a story, which is a pretty cool story, of how she prepared for the role, because she plays a blind lady. She actually went to a school for the blind, and one of the instructors blindfolded her, and the instructor taught her how a blind person has to be aware of all their surroundings, because they can't see, so they have to be aware of their surroundings and things like that. So that was a pretty cool story from Joan Allen, how she prepared for the role. So that was a pretty cool story. Next up, we have a brand new interview with Tom Noonan, which is about 22 minutes long. Tom Noonan talks about how he was dedicated to this character, how he didn't want anybody around him except for Joan Allen. He also talks about how he didn't want to have William Petersen around and all that stuff. And Tom Noonan, he was only supposed to be referred to as Dollarhide on set. He was not no one was allowed to refer to him by his name. He wanted people to just refer to him as Francis Dollarhide. Very intense guy on set, but really dedicated to this character. Tom Noonan is such a really cool actor in general. And he also tells a really funny story about when he went on Regis and Kathy Lee to promote the movie. They introduced him as next on our show. He literally says that they said on our next show we're featuring the serial killer Tom Noonan. It's next on our show, the serial killer Tom Noonan, when they were promoting Manhunter. So then Tom Noonan came out and he was just being weird for the sakeness of being weird, and he freaked out Kathy Lee, and they stopped the interview halfway through, and they cut for a commercial, and they just asked him to leave. They didn't want to continue to interview him. So, but very nice interview with Tom Noonan. Very interesting interview. We also have a brand new interview with the director of photography, Dante Spinati, which is about 35 minutes long, very detailed. Talks about the music, or director of photography, I guess you would say. We also have brand new interviews with the composers of the film, how they talked about the music and things like that. And the last new feature we have on this is a brand new interview with Brian Cox, which is about 40-some minutes long, very detailed. He talks about how he auditioned for the role of Hannibal Lecter and things like that. Very interesting stuff with really nice interviews, brand new interviews with all these actors. So I thought that was really cool. And then on the other features on disc 1, we have the trailer and we have a slow gallery. So, and on disc 2, we basically have all the old features that were on the old DVD, which you have a commentary with Michael Mann, which is a pretty good commentary to listen to. Michael Mann has a lot of really great, interesting info. And disc 2 is also the director's cut, but it's in HD with standard definition. The Manhunter look, which is basically a little small interview with Dante Spinati from back in the day. And the last thing we have on here on this Blu-ray set is Inside Manhunter, which is basically a little documentary from back in the day where you have interviews with people like William Peterson, Joan Allen, Brian Cox, Tom Noonan, and I believe Stephen Lang. I think Stephen Lang was on there too. I'm pretty sure it was. And I think that's what it said on the old DVD I have of it. But yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff on this Blu-ray of Manhunter. If you're, like I said, if you're a big fan of Manhunter and you have this on DVD, and if you're thinking about upgrading, it's definitely worth upgrading to. It looks really, really good on Blu-ray. Fairly colorful film. A lot of really good features on this. A lot of brand new stuff on here. You know, it's a really, really nice release from Screen Factory. It's one of my personal favorite releases from them. So definitely go pick this up if you're a big fan of Manhunter. And so there you have it. Those are my... that is the Blu-ray review of Manhunter. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Alright guys, take care.